It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. This is the Tennessee Bonus Hour, and we have the bonus all-star panelist, Mr. Clint Brewer, recovering journalist.
Bonus makes it sound like I'm something somebody threw in for free.
Something special.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
Clint Brewer is something special. We've been doing this for some time.
It's been a long, 5 years, right?
Yeah, I think 5 years or even more. We launched the Tennessee Star. You and I actually met 8 years ago.
Yes.
Today. With our good friend Steve Richards.
Gotcha.
When we were planning on the launch of the Tennessee Star.
Right.
And we launched it on February 7th of 2017. And
your memory is
we're still standing.
Fantastic, Mike. I do not ever recall of dates like you do. But yeah, it was a good lunch, and I think you actually took some of my advice, and
I always
worked out for you.
I always take your advice. It's always good advice, because the truth is, although I think ideologically I'm a little more on the populist side sometimes.
Not much anymore.
Not much.
I've migrated some.
We have moved together.
Yes.
I think over time as we've talked about these things. But your advice on journalism and law, spot on, even though you're not an attorney.
I am not.
And you don't play one on the radio.
I don't. I've just hired a lot of them over the years.
Exactly right. Okay. So locally here, of course, today is the organizational day of the Tennessee General Assembly.
Right.
Which is always an important day. They work on the rules, right?
Yeah,
that's what they're going to work on.
They do.
The rules. And we may have a little drama from the leftist Justin Jones, who wants to have every rule in the House not apply to him.
He has a book out. Did you know that?
Does it have a title?
I don't recall. I just remember I was in a local bookstore this weekend, and I was surprised to see, I think it was him, unless there's another Justin Jones. Maybe there is another Justin Jones. But
we're hoping not. Justin, I'll do my search right now on Justin Jones, who, by the way, has never passed a mirror that he didn't look into. He got this book, The People's Plaza: 62 Days of Nonviolent Resistance. That was his earlier book. I don't see one here, but
maybe that's what I saw.
Yeah, that was way back when.
Okay,
that was a couple years ago.
Okay.
But having said all that, they'll have the rules, and basically they just want to have basic decorum, right? So you're going to get not have every session disrupted by some group that's got want to yell and scream about X, Y, or Z. You can't get anything done in that way. So that's the organizational meeting. Now, then we have the governor's State of the State address coming when? Typically it's late January, right?
Yeah, they'll unveil the budget and their legislative package. And, of course, I think we're going to have a special session on school choice sandwiched between rulemaking and the actual session.
Yeah, and so, it's rulemaking, and then there's a space the week of January 27th, which could be used for a special session.
Yep.
Now, the way special sessions work in the state of Tennessee, basically the governor calls it.
Single purpose.
Single or specific purpose.
Yeah, right.
And I'm hearing that it may be two purposes. Mm-hmm. One, to pass universal school choice, and two, to provide relief to the flood victims in East Tennessee.
Right. Now,
actually, if the governor were to ask me for my advice on it, which he has not yet, but it's, I would offer it freely. I would say...
I feel like you're about to offer freely.
I am about to offer it freely. I think a special session should, in fact, be special.
Right.
And it should focus on one thing and get that one thing done. That would be my advice.
Gotcha.
But we'll see. He hasn't announced it yet. And then typically the first week of February, that Monday, the governor will give a State of the State address, and then the regular session of the Tennessee General Assembly takes place, right? That's how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's going to be, quite an eventful, I think, legislative session
I agree.
this year.
I agree.
Don't you think?
I don't know. I think that there's going to be obviously this special session. I think school choice is going to be the topic du jour. Maybe they tack on the East Tennessee relief package. Maybe they save that to the regular session. I'm actually hearing that this session is going to be not as filled as it has been in years past.
Interesting. I know there is some legislation in addition. So if the universal school choice bill passes in the special session, then it won't be on the agenda for the regular session. And I don't think you call a special session unless you got the votes, right? Or think you're going to have the votes.
Well, there was a special section on.
I know where you're going with this.
The
red flag laws.
Yeah. And prior to that, in the last administration, there was a special session on Medicaid expansion. So I think sometimes governors call special sessions on things that perhaps they're not sure that they have the votes on, but they feel strongly about. So I would say maybe they fall into two categories. Those things that you believe are a sure bet, and those things that you feel called to do. So I guess we'll find out which one this is.
There's also, not in the special session, but there will be, I think, a push for legislation that I think is very much needed, which is to get rid of this certificate of need to build a hospital.
Yeah.
Right. And now that's been, to me, I don't think there's any reason why hospitals should be constrained other than the fact that the existing hospitals in an area don't want any competition. It's been, I don't know, for like 100 years, a long time they've had it here in Tennessee, but I think that needs to go, in my view.
There are members of the bar whose entire livelihoods depend on the certificate of need system. But I think it has been a system that's been in question in this state for some time. I think communities question it. I think hospital companies themselves question it. Look, we need more hospitals in this state. There's just no question.
You need it, yeah.
We need more hospitals in the state. And I have sat in certificate of need hearings and seen advocates get up and argue. There are basically two arguments. There's the one argument, which is this is an underserved area, and our facility is going to serve people that aren't getting served now. And then the opposite argument is this area is served, and this company just wants to come in and cherry pick all the best private insurance for profit purposes. And I've seen advocates, attorneys, professionals, hospital staff get up and argue one argument in one county and then hop to the other side and argue it in the other county. It's just not a very genuine debate.
No, it's not at all. And of course, that second argument is basically a rejection of the free market system.
Yeah,
right.
It is. It is. And so I think you're going to see, I think there'll be some traction on that. I think there will be.
But there's a lot of political resistance, particularly in some rural areas where there's, a county hospital and they want to control everything. And they've got the local, we've got that going on in Tennessee a little bit, right?
Well, we've got some counties where we don't have a hospital anymore.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Good point.
I think also you've seen a request from the administration for general fund dollars for roads, which is not typical in Tennessee.
Another element.
So, I think that will be something that's discussed.
A couple things. When we come back, I want to ask you about the mood of the country, right? And then at the bottom of the hour, it does appear we're going to have Stephen K. Bannon on.
Oh, wow.
So have you had a chance to speak with Stephen?
I never have. No, sir.
This will be
looking forward to it.
The first opportunity to do that, if it works.
I'm going to have to think of a really good question.
I think you're filled with good questions. Well, the more we get back, he's Clint Brewer. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just one scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service, great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Clint Brewer, also our panelist here in studio. Clint, what is the mood of the country?
I don't know that there's a prevailing mood of the country. I would say that there's more optimism now than there was before the election in November. I feel like people are a little high on America again. I think that's true for much of the country. I think there's some quiet concern out there about what the coming months are going to bring if you're not on the right side of the aisle.
Quiet concern.
But it's not like it was in 2016. Like it's not, there's no resistance. There's no like the win was so complete, so total that
it was a pretty good win.
That people aren't really questioning it like they did in 2016.
Yeah.
It wasn't narrow. It wasn't ambiguous. And I mean, it depends on the topic. I will say this. These fires in Los Angeles have gotten a lot of coverage.
Mm-hmm.
It's very unfortunate what's happened out there. I am hearing some grumbling here.
Grumbling?
About how the situation in North Carolina
and East Tennessee
was so much worse and didn't receive nearly the manic level of coverage that this has received. I think sad lost life in Los Angeles and property, no question, but on a scale, Western North Carolina and East Tennessee were much worse. So, I think...
I think that I would agree with that.
I'm hearing I'm seeing some things on social media, hearing some things.
But Clint,
or questioning some of the coverage choices.
So
maybe there's a bad mood item there.
We are 5 days 22 hours, 40 minutes, and 30 seconds until Donald J.
Have
Trump.
you got like a countdown on your phone?
I'm just
Is there
constantly.
a countdown app?
We should put one up on the website, TennesseeStar.com.
You could, yeah.
I think we might do that. Countdown until victory. Well, and it's just a weird period of time, right? Because you have Joe Biden doing God knows what.
He's still doing things like, his staff is doing things.
Yeah, he the only thing he does is get up and mumble.
You know, it's interesting. The national press has turned on him again in these final days. I mean, since the pardon, I'm seeing a lot of pieces out there about, you know, sort of how he's going to be remembered, and none of the analysis is particularly favorable.
Well, he's worse than Jimmy Carter, and he's not going to have the post-president period to do anything to change that perception.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Carter was a fantastic human being and a below average to poor president. And that happens, right? I mean, that happens. And led his life with a lot of distinguishment and charity and philanthropy after he left office. And, you know.
Well, we agree on part of that.
Right.
He was a terrible president.
Yeah.
He had, I think, two sets of accomplishments. Number one, he deregulated the airline industry. That was an accomplishment.
Yes.
Or he put Alfred Kahn in place to do that.
And I think people will forget that.
And he had the Camp David Accords.
Right.
Okay, those were accomplishments.
Right.
That was it. As to his personal goodness,
Oh, come on, Mike.
But anyways, he's rest in peace.
Yeah,
We'll put it. We'll leave it.
I don't think Biden will. I don't think history's going to remember him as fondly.
Oh well, he wasn't. I mean, and his brother Billy Carter wasn't really crooked. He was just kind of dopey, and he was trying to make money the old-fashioned way.
He was a dude from Georgia.
He was a dude from Georgia who sold awful Billy beer, but that was it. I mean, but it's funny if you look at the differences between. That's not corruption. That's just plain old being a political hack type guy.
My grandfather had a can of Billy beer on the shelf in his man room for decades. It was hilarious.
I heard it was like.
It wasn't very good beer.
It wasn't very good. I mean, look, and of course, you know, he's no longer with us either. But if you're going to take advantage of your brother's fame, you know, make some good beer.
Yeah.
But okay. Anyways, so I am very optimistic about, and these things always start optimistically, right? But part of it is Trump's been there, and the Donald Trump that we see today, at the core, he's the same guy. He's a deal-making guy, but he seems a lot more measured and tempered and tested.
Yep.
than he was in January 2017. So, for instance, I'll give you an example. And he seems to be, the inner salesman is coming out.
Right.
So, for instance, he's reaching out to the left. He invited Senator Fetterman and his wife down. Right? Now, Fetterman has emerged as, surprisingly,
the new Kristen Cinema, the new
Kristen Cinema
mansion.
Yes, except a little more colorful than Mansion. Although Cinema was pretty colorful.
Yeah.
Right. But
he's colorful. He looks like he's headed to a pickup basketball game every time he's on the air.
He does. But he's got. He does have a quality.
He does.
Of authenticity.
Oh yeah.
I suppose you could say
he's authentic. That's for sure.
He's authentic in those hoodies.
I hope he dresses up a little bit to go to Mar-a-Lago. Just puts on a pair of pants, maybe.
He went down there. I don't think he dressed up. I think he was in the hoodie and the whole thing.
Okay.
But he says that on the floor of the Senate he'll wear a suit.
Okay.
But did you see his interview with Joe Rogan?
No. No, I did. I saw a clip or two of it. Yeah, I didn't see the whole thing.
It was hilarious. He explained in colorful language why he doesn't wear a suit unless he's on the Senate floor.
I assume it was because he doesn't want to.
Basically.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't want to, and he had unflattering things to say about his own physicality, shall we say? Let's put it that way. So, but let me tell you what I love. I love the Trump doctrine. I love tweaking Canada. Now, Canada's never going to be the 51st state. Let's just be, because basically they're a bunch of whiny European socialists, for the most part. But I love Canada, but still. But buying Greenland, strategically important in every way, a great move, it seems to me. Now, there was a poll, purportedly a poll.
Oh, dear.
Which showed of the 54,000 Greenlanders, 95% of them who speak Greenlandic, which is a variant of Inuit language, claiming 57% of them want to be part of the United States.
Oh, wow.
But let me just say, I have seen nothing about the methodology of that poll.
They get all the cell phones? Did they get,
How do you do a poll of 54,000 Greenlanders?
I don't know.
Spread across that huge expanse. Or it could have been, hey, let's have pizza tonight. Let's have some pizza in the igloo or whatever they have.
Show up at the feed store and wait for people to wander in and ask them. It's got to be pretty decentralized out there, very rural. Is there a city of any size?
Nuuk, the city of Nuuk, N-U-U-K, okay. The capital, population 22,000. Right, a real metropolis.
Ironic that we need it as a buffer with China and Russia, and the capital's called Nuuk. That's I'm not sure how I feel about that.
that you're the first person to actually point that out, even though it seems to be an obvious thing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But when Donald Trump Jr. went up there in January, a week ago, he talked to a bunch of young Greenlanders, and they all seem to be wearing MAGA hats and saying, "Look, if I am a Greenlander, I would like to be part of the United States of America, right?"
Yeah, but just this idea that America can expand peacefully.
Yes,
can expand peacefully.
The old manifest destiny.
Yeah, I think that's I don't think the Greenland thing is just positioning.
No.
I think some of the other stuff is. Although I got to tell you, I'm far more interested in the Panama Canal than Greenland. I think that one's that's an interesting situation.
Yeah, I actually think, back to Jimmy Carter, it was a huge mistake.
Didn't it open under Carter? Did it open under Carter?
No. Panama Canal.
What happened under Carter? There was development under Carter that was not good.
He gave it away for $1.
That's it. Yeah.
Like, we built it, we paid for it. 30,000 people died building it.
That's horrific.
Back in the 1900s.
Right.
And it was a huge, and basically Jimmy Carter, in one of his worst decisions, gave it to Panama for $1, and now, is running it, the Chinese. That's like bad form in every single way. Look, I think they're going to end up, basically cutting a deal. This is all leveraging positioning. This is Trump being Trump. Right? And that guy understands real estate. And these are real estate deals.
But you bring up a good point. I think that America has to get back into a posture of competing.
Yeah. In manufacturing as well.
Well, with the Chinese. We talk about Russia a lot because as a country, that's what we're familiar with.
Right.
Like in our DNA.
Mm-hmm.
But we really have to get back to thinking about China more than Russia or more than anything.
Yeah.
That's where the competition is.
Because they are the competition.
Yes.
I agree completely. Clint, if all goes well, asterisk, you'll have an opportunity to speak with Stephen K. Bannon after the break.
Sounds good.
I am sending the bat signal out as we speak. It's bouncing off Starlink. And hopefully he's in a car on the way to a private plane to go somewhere important.
Sounds good.
Hopefully he'll call us.
Okay.
We'll be back with more after this. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. He's Clint Brewer. this special time to salute the Franklin men and women in uniform who've answered the call for our freedom. Let's give them the hero's welcome they deserve as they fought hard to restore peace around the world. American troops are our angels of protection, so stand up and salute them proudly. This message is courtesy of our good friends at Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road in Franklin. They're always working to keep our community moving in a positive direction. I want to say a few words about our friends at the Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road. The Nashville Pizza Company in Franklin reminds us that the current economic times have been tough on many families in our area, and many are finding it hard to make ends meet. Your donations of clothing or canned goods can make a difference for a family in need. During this holiday season, give from the heart so others can have a new start. That's courtesy of our friends at Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road in Franklin. They are always working to keep our community moving in a positive direction.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it. Believe me.
Hey there,
Impersonator not endorsed
founder
by Donald
and
Trump.
CEO of the Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back in studio, All-Star panelist Clint Brewer. Hello, Clint.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
On our newsmaker line right now, our very good friend for many years, the broadcaster, a podcaster, and of War Room, Stephen K. Bannon. Welcome, Stephen.
Hey, how you doing, Michael?
Steve, it's always a delight to talk to you. You've got an event coming up here on Thursday. I'll do the Latin. It's Novus Ordo Seclorum, a new order of the ages. It's sponsored by War Room, New Federal State of China, with the media partners Raheem's National Pulse and Human Events Daily. It's going to be on Capitol Hill Thursday from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. What's it about, Steve?
It's kind of kick off the inauguration weekend. We want all members of the War Room Posse. I think there's Eventbrite. You go there and sign up for it, and people will come back and tell you where the event's going to be. So we're trying to have we believe in the Andrew Jackson model of inaugurations that it should be for the people, and so we want to kick off with an event that kicks off the 4 days of kind of commemoration and celebration with a get-together so people can meet. And we're going to have a lot of, obviously, the New Federal State of China is the anti-CCP movement. We've got Raheem's and Jack Pasovic's groups that are sponsoring this also as media partners. And we're going to try to have a big cross-section of Capitol Hill so that the War Room Posse, the common man and woman in this country that are so much of the backbone of President Trump's movement can meet people. So we're really looking forward to it. And just if you can put that out on your social media, Michael. We appreciate it, and people can go to Eventbrite and sign up.
So if somebody's here in Nashville, Tennessee, or Memphis, Tennessee, listening to this show right now, and they go to warroomdc.eventbrite.com, can they sign up and go to this event on Thursday?
Yeah. Well, you sign up. You'll sign up, and I think I think they have to do a security screening. I don't know what they do, but you sign up, they'll come right back to you with a ticket forthwith, and then you can go and subject to we've opened it up to a lot of folks. The place has certain size requirements. Every now and again, we get to the fire marshals. We've done a couple events there before, and they've been pretty packed. So we got to fire the fire code, but we tend to rotate people back and forth. But now, if you're in Tennessee and you're going to be at anything in the inaugural weekend and you already got a room, we definitely want you. If you don't, hey, drive in and get on the list, and we're going to go to at least 11 o'clock at night.
At least, I know. Look, Steve, I have been to so many events at the nearby Breitbart Embassy that you've hosted, and they're always fun. I mean, look, those of you who have watched War Room all the time, the Steve Bannon you see on War Room, the fire, the fun, the humor, that's the real Steve Bannon. And experiencing the Steve Bannon experience in person is a highlight, and everybody in Tennessee needs to do that. By the way, just I know you're a big fan of this. We're just a few miles from Andrew Jackson's home, the Hermitage. I know you're a big fan of Andrew Jackson as a president, but Donald Trump as well is a big fan of Andrew Jackson.
If I can tell a story about that,
sure.
I'm a huge fan of General Jackson. President Trump came, I think it was the 200th anniversary of his birthday. We came basically, I think in April of 2017. President Trump, in fact, changed another event he had scheduled, or somebody scheduled for him in New York City to come there. And normally in President Trump, because he's so pressed for time, you have to go through these either museums or places you go. You basically have to whisk through, just given the time constraints. And he was going to give a speech out front in commemoration of General Jackson. And boy, we took our time in there. He was, and if people have not been to the Hermitage, I imagine most of your audience has, but for anybody else, if you send this clip out, it is an amazing experience. President Trump took over an hour going through. He was fascinated by the dining room, all the other rooms. He spent so long in the library looking at the books that General Jackson had read. It's an extraordinary place, and it just reeks with the history of General Jackson, everything he stood for in his presidency, and then as a great military leader. As you know, Mike, I'm a huge believer in this concept that the revolution really stopped in the Battle of New Orleans, where it really defeated the British militarily in the field. So, no, President Trump was absolutely mesmerized by the place, and I think gave one of his best talks that afternoon on that front portico, where he said a few words and was quite powerful.
Steve, 8 years ago, we launched the Tennessee Star, and one of my very good friends, who's in studio right now, All-Star panelist Clint Brewer, a recovering journalist, a public affairs specialist, provided me excellent advice at that time to help us launch. Clint is here in studio. You've not met Clint, but Clint has a question for you, Steve.
Sure.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, Steve, great to be on with you. We were talking in the earlier segment about the dialogue that's out there about Greenland, the Panama Canal. What's your view in an America First agenda? Where does America expanding its borders come in, or where does it reclaiming some assets, if you will, like the Panama Canal? How does that fit? Does it fit, and what does that do for the country?
I think it goes right back to the predecessors of General Jackson, which is James Monroe. And folks should, or if they don't know, should study Monroe. He was one of the young officers in the Revolution. That was quite a combatant, and he was very adamant, as the establishment was at the time. We didn't want European encroachment into the Western Hemisphere. I think what President Trump has done is brilliant on a couple of strategic levels. Number one, expanding from the Panama Canal, which I believe President Trump is going to take over to stop the CCP from running it all the way to Greenland, is a masterstroke of expanding really what I call the frontier of the United States, and to really take care of the naval threat of the Russians. Our threat from the Russians is not their military or their army. That's really a European issue, and we're part of NATO to help the Europeans deal with that. It's really their nuclear triad, and a big part of that is their fleet ballistic missile, assets. If you have control of Greenland or have some sort of partnership with Greenland or acquire Greenland, whatever it ends up being, you've essentially shut down the Greenland, Iceland, UK gap and actually set itself up to have our first true nuclear submarine base that far north. The Arctic right now is going to be the great game. The great game of the 19th century was Britain and Russia about Afghanistan and Central Asia. The great game of the 21st century is going to be the Arctic. And it's quite important that we're involved there because it's obviously fronts the Western Hemisphere. President Trump in America First wants to take care of the defense of the United States first. With both this, I think extending our strategic boundaries to make sure we're totally safe in the homeland, and he's also talking about putting in an Iron Dome. President Trump wants to leave, I think, his second term with America totally and completely secure and not have to worry about going overseas into this kind of empire building that the globalists want. So I think it's brilliant. The other thing for the audience to keep in mind, it's the opening gambit of making sure he doesn't get stuck with Ukraine. I mean, he's basically told the Russians this is a strategic move to force Putin and his clique in Moscow to worry about what President Trump is doing in Greenland to shut down the Russian submarine threat, both the ballistic missiles and the fast attack submarines coming out of Murmansk. So I think it's a brilliant strategic gambit. People should look at Greenland in conjunction with the Panama Canal. But once again, President Trump is playing 5D chess on this one.
Steve, just a follow-up to that, since we're all over the globe in our dialogue with this, what should the United States under Donald Trump's disposition or public policy be towards Africa? We've talked a lot about China being, at the Panama Canal. Heard a fascinating discussion here in Nashville last year. Eric Prince was here, talked about how we should be charging into Africa and meeting the Chinese in a sort of a contest for control and interests there. Having any thoughts about where America should head in terms of the African continent?
Yeah, I'm kind of right now if you go around the rim of the Eurasian landmass from Western Europe to the Middle East and the Gulf Emirates, then you go around to the Straits of Malacca, the South China Sea, and then all the way up to Japan and Korea. If you look at the rim of the Eurasian landmass, we have those four major strategic kind of nodes. And we're in quote-unquote alliances, or we're supposed to be. The problem is our allies, none of them, including in the Middle East, no one pulls their weight. It's really American troops and American money. It's one of the reasons we have a $900 billion defense budget, which to me is outrageous. And you see Pete Hegseth today. He's answering some great questions about how we have to reorient that. I'm not a big believer in colonialism. I'm not a big believer in we have to be everywhere. I think we have to be rethinking this empire, and I'm not an isolationist by any means. As a young man, I was a naval officer on a destroyer in the South China Sea, North Arabian Sea, Persian Gulf, all of it. But I think we have to be very judicious about what our intentions are and what we look to do. If American companies want to go and explore opportunities, I'm all for that. But I think us moving in and trying to be another colonial power, like the Chinese are doing right now, and people should look at their track record. The track record is horrific. They've wasted a ton of money. They have been rejected by most of the sub-Saharan African countries they've been involved in. There's true hatred between the indigenous people of those countries and the Chinese overlords because the CCP runs things as kind of this predatory capitalism. But I think we have to be very, very, very careful about what we're doing. I do think the sub-Saharan Africa is a fertile ground for the Christian mission of spreading the word of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I'm fully supportive of that. But I would be very, very hesitant about any kind of huge involvement in moving into sub-Saharan Africa that was not driven or led by companies that saw economic opportunity there to work with the nations and the people over there, not to be exploited like the Chinese Communist Party is.
Last question for you, Steve. A week ago, your friend Donald Trump Jr. and your friend Charlie Kirk flew up to Greenland and spent some time there. We're hearing that there's support among the 54,000 residents of Greenland to join the United States of America. My question to you, Steve, is when will you be broadcasting War Room live from Nuuk, Greenland?
If I could do it, I'd go up there now. I'm sorry I couldn't make the trip because it was so busy. I thought it was a masterstroke. Sergio Gore, Charlie Kirk, and Don Jr. Look, we obviously have to be very careful, right? We're America first, and we're the anti-imperialist power. We hammer on this every day. We have enough on our plate. But I think strategically, particularly in closing, President Trump's, I think, theory of the case is what came off of the Admiral Mahan. It's a Mahanian strategy, which the British Empire had, and we have, that it's really, we're a naval power. We have to be concerned about the choke points throughout the world and the free flow of navigation versus a land power and versus getting tied up on wars in the Eurasian landmass like we are in Ukraine. I think President Trump is very, very smart about this. He really understands naval strategy quite well. I think Greenland could be a great partner, right? Or, I don't know if an acquisition, but it's some sort of partnership to make sure that we had bases in Greenland that could thwart Soviet incursion, Russian incursion, particularly in the North Atlantic, close to New York City, New England, the eastern seaboard. So I think it's a masterstroke, and I look forward to Leahy. We'll go up together.
We'll go together. I'll go with, if you go to Greenland, I'll go with you, Steve. How's that sound?
I'm all in. As long as you invite me out to Nashville, I can do the show out in Nashville.
You're welcome here anytime. Stephen K. Bannon, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate your time today. We'll be back with more after this.
This is Tom Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Soul Tea, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Soul Tea has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Soul Tea for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Soul Tea and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Soul Tea, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from
Try
declining
Soul Tea
bone and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today. And get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cell's Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to HealthyCell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's HealthyCell.com. code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. In studio, All-Star panelist Clint Brewer. Clint, that's the first time you got to interview Stephen K. Bannon.
I know, it was great.
He's a smart guy.
Thoughtful guy, yeah.
Very thoughtful guy. Good friend and known for a long time. Well, you know what? It's that time of day again. It's time for News Potpourri. Yes, Clint and our listening audience, this is the portion of the program we talk about the stories of note, don't necessarily merit a full segment, and may have a touch of irony. Well, I don't know if this is irony, but we've been watching and listening to clips of Pete Hegseth on Capitol Hill.
Yep.
He is dominating. The Democrats have nothing.
Doing well.
They're doing very well. Very definitive, very much. He's a warrior. And he's a warrior who's going to defend the America First agenda. From his news background, well-spoken guy. Yeah.
Good at getting a message across.
And a Tennessean. Mm-hmm. Did you see that Senator Marsha Blackburn and Senator Bill Hagerty walked with him and escorted him into the hearing room?
I missed that, but I did see the pictures of him on the field after we beat Alabama. So he's got that going for him.
Speaking of which, got to do, because I'm a big Josh Dobbs fan.
Yeah.
And Josh Dobbs
had a great couple of games, didn't he?
Well, he had a good. He ended a game doing very well with the 49ers loss, and then started for Arizona against Arizona. Had a record 325 yards. Played very well. Had maybe a turnover or two, I think, maybe a couple interceptions, but it was sort of last minute at the end.
Right.
He played very well. He made $2.25 million this past year as a backup in San Francisco. There's a little bit back and forth there, right? He was like the third quarterback for a while, and then the second at the end. Should have been the second all along.
Oh, yeah.
Where does Josh Dobbs land in 2025?
Well, if the Titans had any sense, they'd sign him, but I don't think that'll happen.
Now, I like the way you phrased that.
Yeah.
Look, they could sign him, and he should be competing for the starting job here.
Yeah.
I would think.
Oh, no question.
And he's a very popular guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he's very good.
He is good, and he's just never really been given that chance. I mean, I won't say he hadn't been given a chance.
He's had more chances than a lot of.
Yeah, but he needs some starts. He needs to. But I mean, he's a great option for any team out there. I think he's a solid number 2. He can go win a game in the NFL.
He's
which
a
is
solid
very
backup
hard to do.
Who could be, given the opportunity, he could be a starting quarterback.
Given the state of the Titans' offensive line, I think having a quarterback that can scramble effectively is a prerequisite to maybe getting to 8 wins in a season.
Speaking of football, Mike Vrabel now the head coach of the New England Patriots.
No surprise there.
I think it was a mistake to fire him.
Certainly feeling that way.
It's feeling that way because Brian Callahan, I'm sure, is a smart guy. 3-14. And because the cupboard was bare for him.
Yeah.
I mean, Derrick Henry. Oh, by the way, we got to get into Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
What a beast.
This is a Saquon Barkley type move. I mean, you let that guy go, really?
Look, I'd say right now, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. What a combination at the Baltimore Ravens. And Derrick Henry, he is such a beast, and he's never been better than he is right now. That's like great. Anyways, that's football. Oh, little bit of here's some breaking news. The president of MSNBC, Rashida Jones, has resigned.
Oh.
Well, she can see where everything's going. You know who else has said he's leaving NBC? Chuck Todd.
Really?
Yes, he's leaving NBC. He's telling the other networks, I'm available. I don't think he's going to get many calls because, you talk about an overrated journalist.
I like Chuck. Chuck and I are friends. I've known Chuck since he was the managing editor of the Hotline. Do you remember the Hotline?
I do, way back. So you know Chuck?
I know Chuck. Yeah, I
and
know
you're
Chuck.
Friendly with him.
I'm very friendly with him. Chuck, actually, when I was the incoming national president of the Society of Professional Journalists, Chuck was kind enough to do the keynote at my swearing in.
Well,
he's always been a good dude to me, and I think journalism is in a state of change, like much of the country. But
some might say free fall.
Could be, yeah.
But
traditional journalism is, I think.
Traditional journalism, yeah.
But I think Chuck could do really well with a Substack or a sort of an entity of his own, using his own brand. I think that's probably where he's headed next.
Yeah, and I forget her name, but the purported conservative at the Washington Post has resigned.
There is one?
Yeah, I don't know. I forget her name. It's forgettable. But she's resigned.
There are a lot of people resigning at the Washington Post right now.
Look, and there's a report. I'm tempted to send a letter to Jeff Bezos and say, look, here's how to fix the Washington Post. But it's like, okay,
some people are saying the way to fix the Washington Post is for it to go back to being a local paper.
Well, yeah. What they need to do, here's what, Jeff, because I know you're listening to the show right now. Apparently, they've lost they had 23 million viewers unique visitors on the internet in November. It's down to 3 million in December.
Mm-hmm.
They're losing everybody left and right. Look, you cannot. The old brand is gone. Yeah. You are not the leftist regime media.
Well, the resistance, this whole democracy dies in darkness era is over.
It's over. So I think you're right. Go back to local, good, investigative journalism in Washington, D.C.
Well, cover the Caps, cover the Nats, cover whatever the
and now if you want
it's called now.
But you're going to lose most of your audience, except for the local stuff, and then you're going to have to build back in a way where you're not just part of the leftist regime, which means most of your reporters at the national level are gone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them having the bandwidth or the expertise to do what the New York Times has done, which is, I mean, they're as much a media content company now as they are a newspaper or media outlet.
Yeah.
I mean, their recipe section is as popular as the news.
I think Jeff Bezos is learning how to create a small fortune in media. Start with a big one.
Well, but the thing that perplexes me is there's nobody better situated as a media owner to bring in innovation, technology, new ideas than him.
This is why we need to talk to Jeff. Jeff, come on.
Bring some of your Amazon people in.
Yeah.
Get this figured out.
Clint, a pleasure.
Glad to be here. Thanks, Mike.
Up next, Rob Carson. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. I hope you have a great day. Go to TennesseeStar.com. TennesseeStar.com. I'm on X, formerly Twitter, at Michael P. Leahy. Have a great day.
Bill Lee, and I want to talk to you about an important education bill in Tennessee. Everyone knows that education has the power to change the trajectory of a child's life forever. And anyone who's raised a child knows that each one's different in their educational needs, and their learning styles, and their talents. The fact is, parents know their own children best. They know what's best for their education and their future. That's why I'm here to talk to you about Tennessee's Education Freedom Act. It empowers parents across our state to use their tax dollars to choose the school that allows their child to thrive, regardless of zip code or income, all while making significant investments in Tennessee's public education. If you want to learn how you can help make the Education Freedom Act a reality in Tennessee, go to educationfreedomact.com and write or call your state representatives. It's educationfreedomact.com.
This ad is
The
paid
Chief
for by
Team
Job
reminds
Creators
listeners
Network.
here that more and more veterans will be returning home over the next few years, and many are local. These heroes have elite military training and valuable professional skills, but they also need jobs too. That's why the Chief Team is encouraging all local businesses. Let's make it the year we hire smart and hire veterans. That's from the Chief Team, where they say service isn't just a courtesy, it's a commitment. For more information, call 931-444-3572. That's 931-444-3572 for the Chief Team in Clarksville.
The Black preaching tradition is deeply connected to gospel music.
PBS presents a new series hosted by Henry Louis Gates Jr., Gospel.
Our singers preach and our preachers sing.
Gospel is a prayer. It is our heart's cry to God in lyrics and song.
You feel it deep down in your soul.
gospel. Streaming now on the PBS app.